Heyo everybody, Haku here with my review for Toaru Majutsu Index 3, or Certain Magical Index 3, episodes 18 and 19, and I'll finally be caught back up once I do this. So catching up, kinda simple and easy. Did 2 episodes on Saturday. I was planning to do these 2 yesterday, but I had already done a video yesterday, and I had done a ton of stuff Saturday. So at that point I was kinda tired, so I'm like, do I really feel like not just watching 2 more episodes, but also taking notes on them, like bullet points to do a review, and then recording, and then editing, making a thumbnail, and all the stuff that goes into that. So I was like, maybe I don't have to force myself to essentially do it today. I'll just do it as soon as possible whenever I have time and feel like it. So yeah, Monday, it seems. So, took an extra day. Sorry about that, because I know I did mention last video that it would be up tomorrow from when that was. So sorry I'm a day later, but yeah. Either way, episode 18 was really, really good. I think I liked episode 18 maybe more than either of the last 2 episodes, 16, 17. And episode 19 I liked better than maybe any episode this season. I don't know. I maybe didn't have the most fun watching episode 19. Well, I mean, given the contents of it, I maybe didn't have the most fun compared to some other episodes this season, but I feel like it had the deepest storytelling, personally. But either way, I want to talk through 18 first. One really good thing I thought about 18 when I was watching it is that sure, the same problems that the series has had still kind of existed, where it felt like maybe we were missing some stuff here and there, maybe things were a little rushed, but for 18 and 19 as well, it seemed like a lot less of that. It felt more like natural, normal pacing, but still a lot of content. And one thing that they did that was really good and that I always praise a lot, I've had trouble praising that for this show this season because it's a bit too much, we're a bit too jumbled up. But one thing that I liked this episode that I typically like in every series is instead of lingering on one character's story for too long, we go back and forth with Hamazura and Accelerator and Toma's stories, and we focus on all 3 of them so that we don't linger with them too long to be like, okay, I've seen enough of this character, give me somebody else, but we also don't go too crazy and jump around too much. I liked it. It kept things really interesting, and I like sort of juxtaposing multiple stories ongoing at once. I always love when series do that. But starting at the beginning, the Russian president is speaking against Academy City, and honestly, what they're saying makes total sense. We learn later on, I guess more episode 19, that Russia's government isn't on the up and up, obviously. But really, some of the stuff they were saying about Academy City makes sense, because we know Academy City has this dark side and is this bad, but the big complaint he was bringing up is that the rest of the world has to suffer while you're going on with some crazy experiments that put the rest of us in danger a lot, and we don't even know, there isn't even clear transparency or a beholdenness to any sort of country's governments to make sure you're not doing anything terrible. So the points they made were true. There's really no system of checks and balances on what Academy City's doing, and in addition to that, Academy City's experiments and stuff are putting the rest of the world in danger a lot of the time. So he absolutely had a point when it came to this. We see that Fiyama's pulling strings, though, behind the scenes. The new opening is great. I really love it. I always feel like, oh, I want more. But it was really, really good. The animation, quality, and everything was so much better than the last opening, and I liked the last opening. It wasn't the best opening I've ever seen, but I liked it. This one, so much better, though. So taking something I like and then making something even so much better than that, really enjoyed it. Hamazura and Taikitsubo, also in Russia at this point. Hamazura saves a cashier and ends up with some supplies and such. Accelerator and Last Order then are still in that train, totally don't quite fully understand what's going on, how they got there, or why Last Order is like falling unconscious all the time. Again, here's the thing. I know stuff from the light novel. I read the light novel stuff like years ago, so it's been a while. I'm not going to spoil anything, obviously, but I'm saying if I was watching this and I didn't know the light novel at all, I would be so lost. I would be so confused at a lot of things that are happening. And I think maybe that's what the season's big failure is that I feel like I'd be lost on so much. Hell, I know the light novel stuff, and I still feel lost on a lot. But either way, we have in my notes, this bullet point is kind of how I'm feeling right now, too. I have a bullet point that just says, word for word, hot CG robot ass, question mark. So, yeah. I don't know, there were these robot girls in CG, and they kind of get defeated off screen, and we don't know what that's all about. Odd. There was some oddness there. Because now, I'm just now realizing, I didn't put it in my notes or anything, but I'm just now realizing that, yeah, we just kind of cut back and they've been defeated later on in a flashback. We don't really ever see what happens with this directly. So yeah, weirdness going on. Toma needs to destroy the remote control to save Index and all that, and Lessar has joined him. I love, she's going on, she keeps going on with some serious thoughterry here, and Toma keeps being like, hold on, this is irresponsible. Respect yourself more. This is dangerous. Some guy's gonna take advantage of you. And one of the things I love that he said when she like really came onto him and is like, leave whatever girl you're with and come to me. He's like, pretty much, not word for word, but he's like, I'm not going to hit you, but just letting you know that if I did hit you, I don't think anybody would blame me. So I loved that. That was just a great line where he's like, I'm not going to hit you, but nobody would blame me if I did. We find out via the Puritans and stuff, and I thought they were translated as Anglicans previously in previous seasons, but they were Puritans here. We find out via them and their ships and everything going toward Russia or whatever that, I mean, it's kind of a... In order to attack Russia, especially the parts of Russia that are actually populated, going by ship from Britain seems like it would be not the way to do things. But either way, France, we find out, getting to the actual point, France is interfering. And they don't know. It could be because France is pro-Russia and they're believing in the Russian Orthodoxy stuff now, or it could just be that France doesn't like Britain because they've had sort of magical issues with each other for a long, long time, which would make sense too. Carissa is on the front lines along with Kanzaki, leading the nun forces pretty much. Lessar throat chops a guy when her and Toma are sneaking into this Russian base. Fiamma searching for Sasha Khrushchev, we find out. Or yeah, Sasha Khrushchev, that was her name, right? Believe so, yeah. Because she was in the Angel Fall arc. Then Academy City has its own little thing that Misaka and Kuroka are paying attention to, where they're saying that they might remove their protection from Japan, to which Japan is like, not cool, you're going to draw the ire of Russia and all these places that's going on for World War III, and then you're going to be like, we gotta protect ourselves, we're not protecting Japan. At least that's what I got out of what's going on. Toma meets with Elizalina, who is the head of the unified independent Russian states that are fighting back against Russia. Fiamma then attacks them. Sasha comes to help, gets knocked out in like one shot, and then says or does nothing for the entirety of the rest of the episode. That was one of those weird things where it felt like some sort of development or scenes were left out, because she literally shows up, gets knocked out, and then is later on taken, but she has basically no lines or action. She just shows up and gets knocked down immediately. Because right after she shows up and just gets bitch slapped out of the way, Vento shows up as well, who has lost her right seat power. We already know about that. Because in addition to controlling water or whatever, Aqua also had a power that I'm forgetting at the moment. Oh yeah, his power allowed him to negate the thing that wouldn't let him use Saint powers, which let him use Saint powers and the normal magic at the same time. That was what his bonus skill was. And then the bonus skill, other than controlling Earth, that Terra had, was that Terra... What was the word for it that he used again? Is it precedence that Terra used? I don't know, it was something that one thing would have more importance over the other or whatever. I knew the word when I was taking my notes. I didn't put it in my notes, but either way. Then Vento had the ability that if somebody had ill will towards her, they'd be knocked out. At least I think that's what it was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what her ability was, is if somebody was trying to attack her or had ill will towards her, they would be knocked out. And that was her additional power other than controlling the wind. So she's lost that and doesn't have that anymore, but she's picked up the ability... oh wait, that's not until episode 19. I'll leave that out for right now, but yeah, she's here to try to fight Fiamma. So, then next up, Accelerator has the plans or laws or whatever. That's when we flash back to see that he has defeated, because he's walking along and he has those, and we flash back to see that he got them after defeating the robot people. So the robot people basically brought them straight to him, from what we know. And again, this might be explained more in the light novel, but if I were an anime only watcher, this is confusing, but whatever. Like, this season is like, confusing, whatever, have to deal with it and move on. Yeah, and then at the end, Misaka Worst shows up, and I was so excited, I was like, oh my god, it is time. So yeah, I thought it was really great. The pacing felt a lot more normal. It felt like a lot less was rushed, a lot less was taken out, though that feeling was still kind of there. It definitely didn't feel as extreme. The animation, also, the production quality in general, was up a bit from what it's been. It still wasn't like completely mind-blowing production quality, but it was definitely up a bit from where it's been. Also, there was some stuff that I was still feeling kind of about and was still a bit confusing, and I felt like things were left out a bit more. But in spite of all that, I would still give it 8.5, whoa, pantsu out of 10, because of that one scene with Lasar, whoa. But, yeah, 8.5 out of 10, because despite the fact that some things did still feel rushed and did still feel like things were being left out, it felt a lot better to watch. Whereas the past two, I loved watching them because they were just so chaotic and everywhere, and it was a complete train wreck. I loved watching them, but I couldn't score them quite as high because though I enjoyed them a lot, there were a lot more issues with the way they were produced. This had so far less issues, and it was still really exciting and entertaining. But then episode 19 comes up, and episode 19, I'm trying to remember other episodes if I want to say this is the best one of the season or not. It might be the best episode of the season, because especially in the latter half of it, they get into some really deep storyline character stuff that I like a lot. And even toward the beginning, they get into a little bit. But starting off, we have a Misaka Worst donk shot. Just this big shot of her butt covering up a chunk of the screen toward the beginning. So I'm like, we are on the fan service train today. Then Ice Ship out of nowhere. I literally put in my notes as I was like taking bullet points while watching, the fuck is this? But it's the Queen of the Adriatic. It's not like the full Queen of the Adriatic control power like what the one guy tried to have, but it's at least part of it, and it's been taken control of by Vento, who is now using an ice ship to fight. Toma then gets bitch slapped, and also Vento gets the thing ripped out of her tongue, which is really freaking gruesome and rough. Fiamma brings up a really good point. This is where the good character stuff comes in towards the beginning for Toma. Fiamma brings up that he uses his power to act, to put plans into motion, but Toma only uses his power to react to things that happen around him, to take down other people's plans. He never uses it to try to do good on his own. Basically the whole evil villain speech of, we both have power, but I'm using mine for a greater good, and you just can't see it. You're not using your power like you should be. So it was that kind of villain speech, but also with a little bit of a point, in that hitting Toma, in that he only uses his power in a reactive way, but Toma comes back to be like, what really is the problem with that? I'm saving people with my power. Which might be leading into some complex on Toma's part. So I like that we're at least asking those questions, even if Fiamma's in the wrong and Toma's in the right. We're at least having Toma ask those questions about himself to grow more as a person. because sometimes you have to take a step back and be like, is what I'm doing right? And then if what you're doing is right, you're like, oh yeah, I was right all along, but you should at least question yourself here and there. Fuyama then brings up that his consciousness is connected to indexes, tries to use that to get into Toma's head and all that. He takes Sasha and leaves. So yeah, basically he just hit Sasha once and then ran away with her. She didn't have any lines or context or fighting or anything. She just got taken that easily. So it was so odd. It was very, very weird. Then Russia, we find out, wants to raise the doctor's town and build a base there because it's toward the border with the allied states of Elizalina or whatever. And that's what Hamazura is going through right now. They have a bunch of, what is it? They have a bunch of mercenaries show up, pretty much, privateers they called them. And, yeah, so that's what Hamazura is going to have to deal with as a character. We really didn't get too much into him, but I feel like we got a lot of development for Accelerator, a little bit for Toma. I feel like the thing they might have been going for with Hamazura was how he would react being a person without powers in a hopeless situation, like having a bunch of armed people trying to steamroll this village. So it was still developing him in a good way. It's just that he's a newer character, and there wasn't as much they could do with him as they could with Toma or Accelerator. Now, getting into the really crazy good stuff, we have the attack from Misaka Worst on Accelerator as he's trying to run away, and I wonder how her railguns work, that they're hitting him and he's not reflecting him, but he says, I don't want to hurt her, so I can't use reflect. But at the same time, couldn't he just, deflect it off to the side or something? I mean, he doesn't have to reflect it straight back at her to attack her. At least I don't think he's ever had to directly reflect it back at the person before. It seems like he should just be able to deflect it to the side. So yeah, seems odd that that's a difference maker here, but whatever. Or it could be something special about her railguns, which would make more sense in my opinion. But I like that he starts thinking, is this a conspiracy? Because he's like, they made me kill all of these Misaka clones, something that really he didn't want to do, something that was breaking him down, and he was kind of forced into doing it because they kept trying to attack him and kill him, and he had to kill them before they killed him, and he did this over and over, and he finally was able to escape from it, and now it's coming back to haunt him, and he's like, was this the plan all along, that I kill these clones and they're dying, but at the same time, Academy City, which I would be a total danger to because I'm so powerful, they're breaking me down psychologically so that I can't be a threat to them, or so that they can use me. So I like that he's realizing that it could just be a conspiracy. It's not just to make him stronger or anything, it's to break him down psychologically. It's to hurt him as a person by making him kill those people, which is great. We find out that Last Order can't stop Misaka Worst because she's got sort of a barrier that protects her from the override that Last Order can do on the Misaka network. She starts bringing up again, trying to break down Accelerator, that the others just don't know human emotion enough yet. That's why they can't express their hatred of him yet. And once they start knowing what their feelings are, they'll start to hate him too. Just, again, which may in fact be kind of true possibly, just really trying to break him down more. Accelerator then realizes she's not just going to kill me, she's going to kill Last Order, so I have to kill her first. So he goes back into that mindset of somebody I love is going to die, so I have to kill her first. In doing that and attacking her breaks him down, and starts to just make him not really revert to the way he was, but it just starts to break him psychologically. And I love that in addition to that, there's this aspect of where whatever burst through the back of her head, I think it was some sort of kill switch that they were making her die since she wasn't able to complete the mission, and that was Academy City's doing. I really, really liked that that was happening and she was blaming him the whole time. So again, this development of him realizing that the whole thing they were trying to do is to get him to break down and kill them, because they're like sacrificing these clones in order to break him down. It's all because they're trying to break him down. That's why these clones have to die. So he decides that if I kill them, then Academy City's getting their way. They're going to be able to break me down. The only way to defeat Academy City and to stand up to the dark side, the only way to do what I have to do and not go crazy, is to save and protect them instead. So, instead of letting her bleed out there, it seems as though he's using his powers to restore her and keep her alive. So, Misaka worst, probably surviving, but we'll see. So yeah, that's where we end off. It was a really, really deep story with tons of content. I thought it had brilliant character development, good stuff for Toma, but just mostly for Accelerator was so good. Some of the stuff at the beginning, though, I will say, like some of the stuff with Vento and describing Fiamma's power, which is still a little bit on the confusing side. And the stuff with Sasha, it's a bit confusing. It feels like some things were left out. And to me personally, it's like if I were an anime-only watcher, I would be confused as all hell. So, yeah, it is one of those situations that we find ourselves in where that's a negative. I would still give it 9.25. Did I have something in my notes I could call it by? 9.25 conspiracy theories out of 10. Yeah. Because I thought it still deserved a super high score because of how good the story and the character development was, but at the same time there are still parts that, like, confusing. There are still parts that are a bit rushed and skimmed over. But yeah, I loved it. These two, possibly my favorite 2 episodes of the series so far. I really personally like the Aqua of the back arc, though. I really, really liked that arc. Oh, and I loved the episode where it was just Toma and Index on the airplane. I loved that episode. So yeah, I don't know. I loved that episode, but these two, possibly my favorite too. Especially 19. 19 was great, really getting into the good stuff with the 3 main characters. Kind of 3 main characters there. So, yeah, I loved it. I enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the video as well. Like if you did like the video, and comment down there to tell me what you thought of these 2 episodes and what you thought of my thoughts on them. Subscribe for more. Toaru Majutsu no Index 3, much more on the channel. Hopefully I'll be able to post the review Friday as soon as the episode comes out. From now on, the rest of the season, probably. Yeah, like, comment, subscribe, follow on Twitter if you want. I can try to keep you updated there and stuff with the channel or talk to you there. And if you want a link to our Discord server to talk to me or more of us on Discord, then about this series or anything really, then just ask and I can give you a link. That's it. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.